And welcome back to a lifetime of these conversations we have.
These wonderful conversations.
Yep.
These going somewhere else and like, well, weren't they just talking about something else?
Yeah, like 30 seconds ago, weren't they? I don't know. Like, it was a completely different direction.
I mean, this is still good. I mean, they're actually, they went on a tangent, but it's not stupid. There's still information in there. So there.
It's like saying you could read a Mad magazine and be like, this isn't stupid. There's still information in there. Right, sure there is. It made me laugh. Good enough. No, but one thing I did want to mention, and I want to mention it because it took five times for this to happen.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
SpaceX caught the fucking rocket
With the chopsticks.
with the godforsaken chopsticks. Did you see it?
Chopsticks.
I
Yes,
mean,
I did.
It was. You're like, holy shit, it worked.
Yeah, it did.
Like, and this is something even Musk said. He's like, well, there's a 50-50 chance it's going to work or it's not going to work. Yeah. I mean, when you think of those odds, it's not great. Like, it'd be one thing 70-30, 80-20, but like 50-50 is like, wow. And when they talked about it after, they were saying they were like seconds away from aborting and the thing exploding. Because it did have breaches and there were some fires and issues. But it still worked. They proved that it's possible. Mm-hmm. That this thing can travel 17,000 miles an hour from space to the ground and land in literally, I'd say it's probably a 3-meter distance into a small area.
Basically, land in the palm of your hand from outer space.
Yeah, pretty much. Like when someone brings a drone down and it lands in their hand. Yeah. That's every time I think about it. Now you think about doing it with a 20-story building.
Yeah.
You know, it was amazing. And the soft touchdown in the Indian Ocean with the first stage was pretty good too, and they got some really good footage of it. Like from, and here's another thing I love the future, buoy cams. Like they'll put a camera on anything. Like they have pelican cams, buoy cams, coral cams. But they had this one good shot of it landing, and it's dark, so it's hard to see. But you see the flame come down, and it comes down straight. Hits the water and the steam and the water's flying up and then it, tips over and explodes. But, that's what it was supposed to do.
Dude, we should put cameras on, like body cameras on all the politicians. Can you imagine the Trump cam? People would be watching that 24 hours a day.
But, we're not doing that anyway.
No, but I mean,
I know.
Like the real deal, though,
Yeah. Yeah, I that is kind of funny because you'd think, the body cams on cops would have been only the first step to what everyone would be wearing body cams. Yeah. Like, you think people in a nuclear facility should be wearing body cams just in case, right? Like, or I don't know, pick professions or guys in sewers. I know it's gross and a terrible job, but people would watch that.
I'd watch it,
right? Like dirty jobs, like what's his name, Mike Rhodes yeah. There's some really literally shitty jobs that the people do, and they do them. And they most of the time get paid well. Mm-hmm. But whenever someone else sees it and go, not enough for me, right? But it's enough for them. It's actually probably more than what they were making at whatever shitty job they were doing before that.
Right.
Which, I don't know, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a bad thing.
It is. It's good for them. Yeah. And I guess it's good that they're doing it. And someone has to, unfortunately. Did you ever see what they do in India? They crawl down. They pick the thinnest, smallest person in the village, and they have to crawl into the sewer hole with shorts, no shirt, shoes, nothing. It's not no protective gear. They crawl into the sewer thing to clear packages,
like in Vietnam.
And they come up with diseases and all kinds of infections. Yeah, because it's fucking sewer.
It's India.
Well, yeah, but
it amazes me
they're a powerful country. You think, fuck, man.
Yeah, they were powerful. The people sitting on the top are powerful.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, the caste system just ended so long ago.
But I mean, I would think that there would be a lot of fat people in that town. Like, all right, who yeah, I'd be all right. Who's gonna go down? Not me. I just got done eating.
No way, I'm fit to do that whole. Yeah.
He's the skinniest as he's shoving hamburgers in.
Didn't we just go over poverty, India, fat people? It's not,
Oh, was that politically incorrect or something?
Oh no! I just think that they're starving because they're low. They're low on. You said they're at the bottom, not the top of the pyramid.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They don't have that much food. Too much rice, not enough beans.
They have cows walking around, but they don't.
Well, they do because they have to pray to them and revere to them. But that's different.
They just respect them. They're just like, man, look at that.
That is another thing where you want to talk about a tangent. I don't understand how you could revere how this cow could be more important than a person. like regardless of that person, like regardless of what you think of certain types of people or whatever, like no animal is above a person. Like it's like if another animal was like, no, like if a deer was like, no, let the lions eat me because we don't want them to go hungry.
Yeah.
Like it's a species thing.
They don't pray to them. It's just like a respect. It's a cultural thing.
No,
I mean,
well,
the cats. Do you know who's not complaining?
The cows.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, like the only place they're not going to get eaten.
Yeah, but the cows.
Literally,
if you look, the cows really aren't that healthy either.
Well, that's true.
They look
I'll give
like
you that.
shit.
That's true.
But if the cows
they're
could
not
talk,
getting eaten because you can't. That wouldn't be the case here. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, unless you name it and it's a milk cow, nobody eats a milk cow. It's like that's like
a cash cow.
Eating the wife.
Yeah.
The breastfeed your children. You just don't do it. It's free milk. But yeah, if you weren't a milk cow, definitely dinner. No. What's that cow? Well, we didn't name that. That's going to be dinner eventually.
What's his name? His name is No Milk.
His name is Kobe.
Kobe Bryant? Kobe Beef.
Kobe beef.
Yeah, and that's Angus over there. He's Scottish. For Christ's sake, just kill me now. I'm skinny and I'm walking around.
And I think we had mentioned that once before. If animals had accents, because they would, because parrots do. I actually watched a report. There are these rescue parrots in Britain. They have like this little parrot house, right, where there's a bunch of green parrots. I don't remember. I forget, or they're gray parrots. I forget which ones they are. But they take them all. They're rescued. They pull them in from people that have them, and they pulled in these 4 rescue parrots. That the people that had them, all they did was curse. The parrots. Like, I'll go fuck yourself, you wanker. And, it's in...
wanker.
like, jog on. Like, they say... But they have accents. So you wonder, like, yes, the animals have accents, too, because if they would... If you spoke to a dog in a different language, I mean, it has to understand the language.
Right.
Sit would be sit in English, but it doesn't mean it's the same in every other.
I bet Maddie understood some Chinese words from
right, or even if if they were the bad ones, that she wasn't exactly treated well for that point. But
that explains where she gets that mouth on hers. But can you imagine? I mean, I'm just picturing the bird.
Yeah.
Oh, you fucking wanker.
Yeah, and at first they were like, oh, so what they did was they're like, we're going to introduce them into the general population and hope that the other birds would teach them other words, and they wouldn't, but it went the other way. The other birds started picking up the cursing, right? So at first they're like, oh, we have to get rid of them, but then, they had like all the people were like, don't get rid of them, we don't care. And so the people think it's great. So it became like a tourist attraction.
Yeah, give one to Gordon Ramsay. He could.
Yeah, you got to look it up, the cursing birds of Britain. It's hysterical. And you know what really cracks me up? This is where we're at in the internet. The internet has become fucking television. They're bleeping it out. What the fuck are you bleeping out? It's the internet. And even to us, like, all right, they say something like, you fucking cunt. Like, that's a little rough, especially because the C word here is
only
different
the C word there.
But over there, it's different.
Nothing.
Even though it is offensive, but it's not nearly as offensive as something else here. They're still cutting it out. Jog on to them is like a thing. It's basically like saying fuck off, right? But they don't. That's not that big of. You can say it. It's okay.
Yeah, in England,
and
bloody
plus,
is a curse.
Your parents are saying it to everyone every way, but you blur it out for this news thing. Oh, come on. It's on the internet, man.
That does piss me off. Like when they bleep out the F word or whatever, or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
And then on TV, like on 9/11, I had to see people jumping out of the windows to their death over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. Oh man, I never thought about it that way. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And now, like on the internet, if somebody says, "Oh yeah, well, we can't throw this we have to throw this person in jail, or whatever, because they raped somebody, because they beeped somebody," they can't even say that word.
Like, I don't understand.
I mean, we should. I'm not
it's a
saying
fact of matter. It's not a slander or a bias or a fake thing.
This person did a bad thing. Yeah. Let's tell everybody what he did.
Yeah.
Don't candy code it. He raped somebody.
Wait,
that's
what did
a
he
bad
do? I
word.
couldn't hear them. They bleeped it out.
Yeah. And killed.
He taped them?
Oh yeah, somebody was killed. They bleep out the word killed.
Like, isn't that?
Yeah.
Did you say murder?
No, that they'll bleep that kill. If you kill somebody, if you murder.
Killed and murder is different, I guess.
Murder, death, kill. John Spartan.
But this is my point. Like, this was something you expected from television from the 13 channels we had as a kid, right? Like before cable, there was 13 channels. That's it. Actually, the knob on the television only went to 13.
Yeah.
There was no other number. Yeah. So that was all you had. Now that I get, because they're controlling it, and that's all people are watching, and that's syndicated and all that crap. But now you're bleeping the internet.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think certain people that have like certain podcasts that they're trying to pander to, that they want their broadcast to be heard on so many levels. Certain platforms might not allow this word, so we're gonna bleep it just for that platform so these people can hear.
That's why ours has the check mark for explicit language, because I don't listen. I of course we curb what we say to a certain degree.
Well, yeah, we're intelligent. We don't need to curse.
I don't really. Yeah, we don't need to. But that's who I. It's when I'm naturally talking, especially passionate about certain things, and when I'm in a professional scenario, you don't do that.
No.
Again, there's a filter. We're not morons.
Yeah.
But this is our house.
Yeah.
Right. So at that point, to me, to sell out to gain, I don't know, 1,000 people that really won't know what it's really like. Wouldn't it feel like you were being fake? You don't curse nearly as much as I do. You say bad things, but without cursing.
Oh, that's worse, actually.
Well, it just depends on who's listening.
Yeah, I guess.
And that's okay. It doesn't matter. I don't care, because I think that's natural. I think that's real. I think that's what we're missing, what we're devoid of these days on the internet. People are pandering to the masses and and you had a kids channel? Fuck no, you can't be cursing. It's a kids channel.
Right.
It's a certain age and children should be exposed to that when the weight of the world crushes their hopes and dreams later on.
Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore.
Well, no.
I mean, people are actually teaching this to their children and using their children as political weapons against their enemies on both sides.
Yeah.
It's really pathetic. But
I mean, I think the two words children and weapons should never be in any sentence ever.
No, unless you're actually picking a kid up and beating somebody with the kid.
Okay, which somehow would be horribly comical. Yeah.
Brace yourself, Timmy.
I'm just imagining how you'd even do it.
Again.
Like, do you grab them by the side, like a
battering ram,
or do you they put their arms out and you're just swinging them like a propeller?
Well, yeah,
like a battering ram.
You'd want
their head.
Yeah,
that's rough on the kid. I figured maybe like a Superman, they could put their fists out.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good.
You could do that.
You could do that.
Just put a little cape on them.
You said it like it was normal. Like, yeah, sure, you can do that. Yeah, you put a little cape on him.
Yeah,
you put cleats on him, flip him around.
Yeah.
Oh, even better, man.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I think we went too
far.
Oh yeah,
cursing birds. So I would take the birds. I would take them and put them in, separate them completely. I'd have one group of birds that I would have listening to gangster rap music and stuff like that. And these birds would be like, "Yeah, motherfucker, I'm gonna break a piece off in your ass, bitch."
They would. And it's really good. They sound just like they're saying exactly what they're saying.
Yeah. Hey, they know what they heard.
But the accent is hysterical, and that's what made me think about it.
Put some birds in an Indian family. Hello, Polly, want a cracker?
But they're
thank you very much.
And I guess that's why it's offensive to somebody, because they're that's normal to them, right? But we don't have that experience. I think accents are endearing.
I
think
love
they're
them.
Amazing.
They are.
I really do.
People that's offensive. What? Do they not talk like that? Well, no, they talk exactly like that. So then why is it wrong? Because you're doing it.
Right. Yeah.
What are you talking about? It's funny.
But I have an accent to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they were like, "Hey, man, go fuck yourself. Hey, I'm from New York," right? And it sounded just like me. Am I going to go, "I'm terribly offended"?
No.
I'm going to go, "Oh, that's pretty good, man."
Like that. Most people can't get it like that.
Right? And you're impressed.
Yeah, man, not bad.
I think I told that story once. I was waiting tables once, and I had a girl from New Zealand, a Kiwi. I like to call themselves Kiwis. And oh man, don't call them Australians.
No,
they get really fucking offended. And again, we're Westerners, we're Americans. I could tell the difference between British and Australian. But a Kiwi and an Australian, come on, it's really hard. I've never been to either country, so. But anyway, she asked me for change. Now, you don't normally give change out. You can go to the register for that shit. Mm-hmm. But I was like, okay, I'll give you change, but you have to do me one thing. She's like, what? I'm like, do an American accent for me. And she just stopped for a second, and she looked up like she was thinking, and she went, I totally went to the mall on Friday, and we bought some shoes and hung out with the girls. And then she went right back to her regular accent. And I was like, that was awesome. I'm like, that was the most amazing. So she went Valley Girl.
Right.
She went Cali. It's funny because I think we talked about this before. There's only 3 they go to. They go New York. It could be New York, Boston, Jersey.
Or like the
Texas.
Jewish Dran Fresher kind of.
Okay, right. That could be like a Nassau County kind of Jap angle, right? Or they go Cali. Like, there's only 3 angles. Like, they think there's only 3 accents. Like, nobody does a Minnesotan accent. Like, they don't.
Geez.
They don't. Oh, geez.
Because you have to be exposed to that an awful lot to really get it.
And it's very particular with certain words, not a whole bunch of them.
Right.
But it was really funny.
Well, they'll do the Southern one, maybe.
I just love. Yeah, they always go Southern. You know, because that must be a thing. Like, I always think about that. There's no Southern anywhere else,
Yeah.
right? Nowhere. Like, I wonder. Like, is there like a version of Spanish that sounds Southern to them? So that was their Southern.
Hola,
because they have different
¿cómo
dialects.
estás?
Right.
Yo tengo
Just
hambre.
I just like when people, when they play along, when they give you an honest answer, they you know, the inhibitions go away and they're like, sure, let me have fun with this. You know, I just feel like everyone's always being stuffed with a camera or a mic in their face. You know, this is our time. You know how hard it is for even us to get people to interview. Nobody wants to be. They don't want to come on the show. Nobody wants to like. Oh, I don't really like cameras. I'm like, yeah, but there's no cameras.
there's no camera.
It's just a mic. No, I don't really like talking.
People
like
get
that.
nervous because
you don't like talking. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have to use your name. What do you think they're gonna voice recognize you and find you? I mean, who do you think we are?
Yeah, right,
we're not
there's-
Rogan. Jesus Christ, man. But okay, you know, hey, that's your business.
Yeah, I still have to call. See, my friend Victor, I think, would do it because his story is really interesting.
Yeah, but it's like when you think someone would, that doesn't mean they will. And I thought the same thing. And there are times that some people are just like, yeah, sure. And there are others that are like, yeah, sure. And you know what that means? That's I'm just going to say this to you
To
so
shut
that
you
you'll
up.
go away from me now and then ignore your calls for the next 3 months, which is fine. We're not here to pressure anybody to come on. But, you know, I just always thought there would have been people that had something they wanted to talk about. Maybe they don't want to talk about it with us.
Yeah. My sister wants to come on. She could talk about working, with drug addicts in the jail and stuff.
great.
And then
I
there's
mean,
just some
that's
funny,
her thing.
some
I'm
funny
sure.
stories too.
But again, I always look at it. It's for them. Like, there's got to be something you'll want to talk about. I mean, everyone's passionate about something, you know. I mean, I started this talking about SpaceX landing a rocket on chopsticks, and somehow we went to cursing parrots and interviewing people that work with drug addicts. So
wow, cursing parrots in space. That could be like a new sci-fi movie.
it was almost like what was that old The Muppets in Space?
Do you have a message from Earth? Fuck you, you wanker.
Jog on, you wanker. I do a bad accent. I tried it once. I did it at the range once.
Those people on Earth are assholes.
When I was at the range, I practiced for like 3 days, and I had this young couple from Queens, and it was like a Wednesday, so it was really quiet. And the manager told me not to do it, but when he went away, I started the group, and I was like, and I did the whole thing in a British accent, and I was doing okay. Like, they wouldn't have known any better. And I got about 3/4 through it, and I broke character, and I'm like, I can't go back. And he goes, the guy, and I'll never forget and the guy was like 6'2", and the girl's like 5'3", and the guy just goes, wait, hold up, you're not British?
Like, what are you talking
He goes,
about?
you know what? I was really just getting used to that. You can go back to that if you want. I'm like, I can't go back to it. It's too. I'm a New Yorker. I'm like, I broke character. Going back to it would feel inappropriate.
Do you know what you should have? You should have like been walking around and like banged your head on something, like, ow.
Oi!
Ow, man, crikey, that hurts.
Every time I bang my head, I change accents. Well, I did it on St. Patty's Day, right? You know, because you work
Sign language.
So St. Patty's Day, and I get this group, and I'm like, hi, folks, how you doing today? My name is Seamus. I'll be your instructor today. And I was really going over the top with it, right?
Oh, yeah, like cartoon leprechaun
and the
voice.
lady, yeah, kind of like that. And the lady goes, I can't believe it. We got an Irish instructor named Seamus on St. Patty's Day. This is insane.
I would have shot her.
Lady, do you really think I'm Irish?
Christ.
What's wrong with you? Right? Take the gun and point it down range. I only got to the front half of it, and then I was like, okay, guys, I'm not Irish, and my name is not Seamus. Do you really think you'd come to a gun range and get an Irish guy named Seamus?
That
on
looks
St.
like
Patty's
me.
Day? Right. Like this? I'm not, okay. and they laughed, and it was fun, and we all had a good time.
Oh,
and
good. Yeah, that breaks the ice.
But I did give the effort, and my Irish like breaks into Scottish. It kind of intermingles, and if you were smart enough, you'd pick it out.
Right, sure.
You'd understand. You'd be like, wait a minute.
Wait. Now you're Sean Connery all of a sudden?
I did it to these 4 Irish guys I had one day, and he goes, you sound like the guy from the Lucky Charms commercial.
My friend Phil is from Ireland.
What do you want me to tell you, bro?
He's always said, he's like, Alan, these fucking cunts try to sound Irish. They sound like the fucking cunt from the Lucky Charms box. Yeah. I'm like, oh boy.
Because when I said that to him, I'm like, look, buddy, your accent is so authentic. He goes, that's because it is. And I was like setting him up for it, but it was just funny to hear him say it. Great. Awesome. Thank you.
Dude, that would have been awesome. If you had like some Lucky Charms targets, you could just set that range. All right. What I want you to shoot next. Shoot the yellow moon. Purple heart.
50 points for the Forklift.
Purple diamond.
That's great. Oh, that's really funny, man.
Oh, boy.
But I think accents are endearing, and I think it's great that they speak English a different way.
Yeah,
and we can still understand each other, sort of.
I love that everybody is different, and if you and like when you say to certain people, like, yeah, well, did these people, they come from another country, they're different, they have a different culture. No, they're not. They're the same. I'm not saying it in a hateful way.
Right.
They fucking are.
We get it. They're people, but the culture itself is different.
Yeah.
So in turn, it changes them as...
We have a different culture. And if everybody on planet Earth,
all us humans... If we just accepted and move on, we would be fine.
Yeah, we'd be fine. And if we all had the same exact culture, wouldn't that be boring?
It would be South Park. They took our jobs.
Yeah.
Remember that episode where they came back from the future and everyone was blended and they were all the same color and bald and like tan or whatever?
Yep.
Yeah,
that would be boring. I love the fact that there's different cultures. That's fun.
I know. I mean, I guess it just depends on the circles, the bubbles you're in these days, where you get attacked from. But generally, most people I think are pretty good about it.
Yeah,
especially when you come from a melting pot, something like a large city, New York, Miami, even Florida. Florida's for as far south as you can go in the United States of America. This place is not south.
No, you have to go north to go south.
Isn't that insane? I think that's nuts. You have to actually go north to go south.
Yeah.
And when you get north, you go south.
Yeah.
It goes deep south.
Yeah.
Real fast.
My cousin Vinny shit.
Yeah. Worse. No, like Cannibals in the Hills kind of shit.
Right.
Bible Belt burning cross kind of shit. And that's where... It frightens me that these small little hamlets they're almost like the same as those 1,000-year-old tribes in the rainforest where they're surrounded. It's different. They're in the rainforest. You should be left alone. Even the people that live in there don't want to go bother them, right?
Yeah.
You're in America. That shouldn't happen. Like,
I know.
It's
crazy.
I mean, they don't have the internet. You do.
Yeah.
You could, or at least.
I'm white, and I'm terrified of going to a place like that. They wouldn't. You think they'd welcome me with open arms?
You're a Yankee. I mean,
I'm an N-word as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, well,
as far as they're concerned,
just every other derogatory word at that point.
Yeah.
But I think that is hysterical. That you have to go north to be south.
Yeah,
because that's why I like Florida. People are great. It's nice and blended.
Yeah, it's just it's nice and blended, and New York is nice and blended, but it's just crazy down here. People just insane.
Yeah, I mean, there were people with whole channels on Florida Man. I mean, and you think you don't think crazy shit doesn't happen in other states, but Michigan Man doesn't sound as good, or like Iowa Man. I'm pretty sure there's insane, ridiculous shit that happens everywhere. It's just, there was.
It's more fun when it comes from Florida.
I guess it becomes a thing, where it's like, and it must be the heat. I'm like, Texas is really hot.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the heat. There's plenty of places that are really hot. I mean, I think the whole of the Amazon, they would all be crazy if that were the case.
Yeah. Arizona.
Yeah, it's pretty hot over there too. Different hot, but still. But they come up with some excuse. Whatever.
I wonder what it could be. Yeah, so Elon Musk caught a rocket ship with a pair of chopsticks. Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that other countries, like in the interview we did with Trump
China just made his exact ship. They made the Dragon capsule looks just like it.
Oh,
It's
really?
like they took a fucking blueprint and were like copy paste.
They might have taken the blueprint.
And he open sourced a lot of it. So at that point, it wasn't like he was trying to hide it.
Yeah.
You know, he has been open about all this, and honestly, it paves the way to the future. I don't see. This is the thing. I wish we weren't so adversarial with China, because we would make great collaborators instead of competitors, even though you need both. But they really they have their own space station. Okay, like Russia said they were going to do it, and they never did it. Like, we don't even have our own space station. That means their entire country has their own space station. Now, they do have other countries, small parts of other countries that help with it, but it's mostly theirs, and they built it, and there's people up there right now. That's not an easy thing to say.
No.
I mean, look how long it took for the ISS, you know, and they're ready to decommission it in 2030 or so, give or take. And they don't have that many really great plans.
It's going to be the trailer park of the galaxies.
No, it's going to be the trailer park of the ocean when it comes down, whatever's left of it.
Yeah, let's litter the ocean, not deep space.
Well, yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's a much be. Bring it back to us. What could go wrong? Just kind of nudge it off into space, and then in 100 years it'll be a light year away.
Yeah, that still may change. Who knows? But I doubt it. Yeah, I doubt it. You know how, I mean, most governmental agencies are pretty much stuck in that same aspect of, this is how we've always done it. We've thrown rockets into the ocean for the last 60 years. We're going to throw that thing in the ocean. That's how it works. Yeah. We're going to aim for the ocean. Hopefully not Australia.
Just get all the important stuff off of it. Like, that it's going to be barreling toward the ocean. Did we forget anything on the space station? Kevin!
I left my keys on there.
like Home Alone.
Like Kevin.
Wow, a whole space station all to myself. You have Joe Pesci up there. I'm going to kill this kid.
Well, hopefully they know, because it's going to go, I think, and SpaceX is already contracted to use a specialized Dragon capsule to deorbit it. Like, basically, it'll dock like it would normally to let people in, and the rockets would push it into a degradable orbit. But it'll take months to get to that orbit. So, like, they're not going to just throw it down all at once. It's going to be like a slowly decay thing.
Could you imagine if they did that before they got the astronauts that are stuck up there? They'd be like, "Oh, hello, what are they doing? What about us?" Knocking on the window,
banging. Nobody can hear you because it's space.
He's like, "We're coming. Yeah, just 1 minute.
We'll be back. We'll get you on the round trip."
Can you imagine the panic when you see somebody saying "we'll be back" and then leave? You're like, he's not coming back.
And they do it with like a sign written in Sharpie on the window. like back in 15.
Like when Wiley
years, minutes, days. Like, wait a minute.
He turned around. He can't hear you. Just 15. Yeah. If he's not back in 15 minutes, let's pray to God it's hours.
It's like the guy who wants to buy a pack of smokes at the convenience store, and the owner had to take a shit, and he's like, back in 10.
Yeah,
like you're out there waiting.
From when? Cigarettes. When did you put that sign up? 9 minutes ago? 9 seconds ago? Back in 10 minutes.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
At least when they have like that thing, they hang the clock and it'll say be back 2:15. I'm like, you know what?
I was literally thinking that exact same thing. Like, they have that now.
Yeah, that's comforting. That's comforting. Like, I know when Dad's coming home.
I know what time it is. I know what time you'll be back.
Yeah, I mean the other one, be back in 10 minutes. Now I'm in a complete state of panic. I feel like I was abandoned by my friends and family. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I was abandoned by the convenience store guy because I wanted a pack of gum.
And you don't want to bang on the door because then he's going to be mad at you. Oh, yeah? Now 20 minutes, motherfucker.
Back in 20. I think of you ever watch the show Kim's Convenience?
No.
I believe it's on Netflix, or maybe it's on Prime now. I don't know. Either way. Canadian show, fucking amazing. They're South Korean, and they opened a convenience store in Canada, and it's goddamn hysterical.
It's funny
because the guy and the woman who play the mother and the father who run the shop, like, they have thick Korean accents. Right, we were talking about accents, but they're not. They don't have Korean accents. They're American. So again, this is where it goes back to like the idea that they're comedians. So it's okay for them to do it because they're Korean, but they're not that kind of Korean, right? You're just placating what we heard from your parents or your family members, right? Or what Korean people that have an accent speaking American sound like. And it's funny because you hear the father talk normally. He's like from San Francisco. And it's great because you're just like, what the fuck, man? It's really funny.
What's it called?
It's called Kim's Convenience. It is honestly a really funny show.
Somebody told me the same thing about Letterkenny. And
what?
It's called Letterkenny.
Letterkenny, what?
There's a place, I guess, real or not, it's a place in Canada called Letterkenny, and these people
like one word.
Letterkenny, yeah. It's like South Park kind of. They just sit there and talk trash to each other.
Yeah,
it's like, and it's really dry. Like, so what do you want? You want to go kill some pigeons today? Yeah. Okay. And people tell me how funny it is. I'll watch the second episode. Maybe the first one was just establishing mood and maybe telling
pilots
you
are tough.
Who's who in the pecking order of their little hierarchy.
How far
did
you get?
Yeah.
How far did you
One
get?
episode.
Oh, man, it's a shame.
Yeah. And in the end of the episode, like this one guy, the big brother who's supposed to be a tough guy, he didn't want to fight anybody anymore. Now he's like, he's sticking up for himself again. So I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, I'm too busy watching Dexter, which we could talk about later.
Oh, Dexter.
Yeah, I love it.
My kid is watching Dexter after I've told her for years to watch, because she likes like vampire stuff, and I'm like, if you want real blood stuff, you got to watch Dexter.
Yeah.
It's the only time in your whole life you're ever going to root for a serial killer ever. Okay. There's never been a time I watched a documentary and said, fucking go John Wayne Gacy, Gary Gacy, whatever his name was.
John Wayne
Gacy. There was no way I was rooting for this guy.
Pogo the Clown.
But Dexter, yeah. You're like, yeah. It's amazing.
Well, Natural Born Killers. It was kind of
like
that they were no. But I'm saying the people in the movie, like the people that watch TV, they were rooting for the killers.
Oh, sure, we glorified but they were still killers. They weren't doing it for good reasons. They were doing it for their reasons.
Yeah, right.
Right. But in a way, like Dexter was not only doing it for his reasons, but also better than bad reasons.
It just happened that his reasons were good.
Right.
He wouldn't have cared.
He guided them that way. He kind of did. I mean,
he knew that he was doing the right thing, but I mean, having antisocial personality disorder.
If he didn't have that option, I think he would have picked whoever he could.
That's like me being blind and saying, the sky is blue. I just know it's blue. I don't know what the hell it means.
People told me. I have no idea. Yeah. Well, what is blue?
Right.
That was the one thing they always ask, like when they think about it, like how do you just? I still think that's like how do you describe color to a blind person?
You can't.
You really can't. And I always wondered. I never had a blind person to ask this.
Oh, really? One of my friends is blind. I could bring them on.
No, blind, always blind, or
no, he became blind.
Different.
No, it's totally different.
Always blind because
it's totally different.
That actually is the point. Because if you knew what blue was and then became blind, you could describe blue. I have a reference to blue.
Right.
But if there's no color reference, you taste, touch, smell, sound, absolute reference to, right? But it's a one thing. There's no reference to a color. Right. Because actually they don't really exist anyway. It's more like a...
They don't, yeah.
They kind of do, but...
The only reason it's blue is because my eyeball is telling my brain... This is what you see.
A certain amount of color is being left over and not reflected or reflected.
And
but even then, you still could. What if I see a different color?
Yeah, my big brother sees different colors. Yeah, like the grass is orange.
That gold, the gold dress, blue dress thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, why are we arguing over this?
Well, it was because of Monica Lewinsky. Like, is this a blue dress, Mr. Clinton? Actually, that's a gold dress. That was not in my closet.
Your semen is on it, Mr. President.
That is not. That is Hillary's.
I didn't inhale. Wait, no.
That is Hillary's semen.
Oh, my God. Terrible. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Look what we did to him for that. And I don't want to get into politics.
They didn't do anything to him.
No, but it was like this was that one thing was just a huge deal. And this guy.
That they needed some for the news. So, it was a big thing. Clinton, Bill, did you do this? I did not have sex with Miss Lewinsky. Yeah. He lied. Whatever.
I did, and they were literally just the opposite. I was just gonna say the same thing again, but opposite this time. This time, sort of true, I guess.
Yeah, like he would say, "What is sex?" He didn't know what it was. I'm like, come on, man, give me a break. He needed that to be defined.
I mean, it was believable being married to Hillary because I swear she was a robot created by the government.
Yeah, I mean that was a marriage of convenience. It bettered both of their political careers and stuff like that.
It's like rich families that marry kids just to keep money, safe.
Yeah, and they stay together. They hate each other, and they stay together.
Hatfields, McCoy.
Yeah,
that would be you'd end the feud. I was explaining to people we talk about Hatfield and McCoy. I'm like, it's like Romeo and Juliet. That was the whole point.
Yeah,
the two families hate each other. They fell in love. And then then one killed themselves. Pretend the other killed themselves. The other wakes up, then kills themselves. I'm like, what a stupid story.
Yeah, I know.
Honestly, really.
Well, thanks for blowing the ending for me. I never read it. I was going to read it tonight.
I was going to read it.
I just can't get past all the E-1000. I don't understand what the hell you...
It's easier to watch the DiCaprio version. You ever see that one?
No.
With Leonardo DiCaprio and John Leguizamo was in it. Oh, it was so good. Wow, yeah. It was all guns instead of like swords and shields, and it was they did it with the old English in almost like a London typed accent guttural version. And it was, I actually thought it was really artistic. It was really well done for the time. Not near the real story, but same thing. Fun for the time. Yeah. Good acting.
Yeah, whenever you want Americans to watch a movie about something that happened somewhere else, just do an English accent. and that's all you have to do for Americans. People that come from space, like Star Wars, like the Jedis, English accents. Oh, I didn't know that they had a Great Britain a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Oh, and if you ever watch Jesus movies, British. Him and his disciples.
Yeah.
Oh, good old Brits.
When really he would be more like Hebrew.
Yeah, he'd be they were Arabs.
Yeah, or Israeli.
Dark skin. Yeah, dark skin.
He'd be like an Israelite.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what religious person you ask.
Sure, but that would be the general. Let's say,
that they were Arabs. They came from the desert,
So it wouldn't be Charlton Heston.
No, no, definitely not. But if you're gonna go on TV and ask a bunch of white people for money, you got to give them a worshipable Jesus. You can't be like, all right, I want you to open up your blue eyes, blonde hair, and give me your money.
I still think back to Dogma.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. 13th Apostle. I never heard of 13th Apostle.
Of course. A black man.
Yeah.
Chris
Rock. Of course Jesus was black. You got 12 white guys and me. Of course they're going to leave me out.
Dude, I love that movie.
That was a great movie. It was a classic movie. It pretty much summed it all up at that point at the same time. It told the story in the way that they didn't want, they didn't want you to hear it that way, but it was a really good version of it.
Yeah, and of course, George Carlin. The best.
I was just telling this young kid, I'm like, if you want real good comedy, I said, Carlin was the master of old school religion and politics. Like he was like one of the first, like nowadays it's like Louis Black and it's like some of the other ones that are really, really, really vocal. Like there are comics that use it, but they use it like it's like the anger, the passion, the devotion to the comedy.
But it's not comedy. It's like a political speech.
It's more like rants.
Yeah, I don't want to be ranted.
I know. I can watch a little, but it just becomes too much. Yeah. And comedy is special to me. Again, we always talked about it. What did you do in your episode of Comedy is Sad today?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's all sad. I just think we've become so diverse that we have a hard time all laughing at one thing.
It's going to go back to normal at some point.
You think it'll have some kind of circle of
Everybody at some point is going to be like, all right, enough. I can't pretend anymore. Can you? No, man, I can't pretend anymore either. That shit was funny.
Anymore.
That shit was funny. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah. Just one. You got I like when I say something sometimes fucked up and one person laughs and then someone else goes, that's fucked up. I'm like, that guy laughed.
Yeah.
So is he wrong for laughing? Or am I wrong for saying it?
But
because if I said it and someone laughed, it means that it was funny to someone.
To somebody.
Even though it's not funny to you.
Right.
I'm sorry.
And it is funny to you, but
you just don't want it.
You don't want to laugh in front of other people because that might
the social norm constrains you.
It's going to ruin all the hard work you did.
I'm not saying it was, but if it was, this is where I said it's like sacrilegious to hold back laughter.
It is.
Because comedy is my type of religion. Like, you shouldn't... I went to the movie theaters when I used to go when I was a kid, and, like, whether I went with a girlfriend or my wife, I'd laugh, and I laugh loud. Mm-hmm. Anybody who's listening to this podcast, if I can't hold it back at the mic, I'm sorry if I laughed at it. That's it. I'm not holding it back. That's wrong. Mm-hmm. Because, honestly, that's funny. That's what I found funny. And that's how I show... Like, I still think back to that fucking Russian at the range. When I was like, yeah, you guys are from Russian? Like, yes, we are Russian. You guys from Brooklyn? Right? And they're like, yes, we are from Brooklyn. And the one lady, she's like, I'm from Canada. Right? And I was like, I thought I smelled maple syrup. Right? And she laughed. Right. And the two guys behind me, and now these are like 6'2" Russians. And the guy just goes, that was funny. Did you hear what he said? That was funny. He didn't laugh. He didn't smile. He just acknowledged what I said was funny. Right. And I'm just like,
good enough.
I guess. Is that good enough for Russian? I don't know. Like, it's hard to see. I've seen Russians smile, but I never really see them laugh without being maniacal, kill you kind of laughter. Yeah. So I really don't know.
I
just thought it was funny. He acknowledged my joke by telling his friend.
I saw a Russian guy tickling his kid one time, and the kid wasn't even moving a muscle or anything.
Right, but did you train that way? Like,
no. I
I
asked the guy, I'm like, why are you tickling your kid if he's not laughing? And the little kid looked at me and goes, he's laughing inside.
Like, you can't tell. Are they being serious? Are they joking? Is that really it? And this is a cultural thing, so who knows if there's some kind of boundary I just don't understand. I'm gonna leave it alone. And I've tried. I really have. Because I used to get a lot of them at the range. Tons of Russians, Ukrainians, Romanians. And again, if you mix up Ukrainian, Russia, and Romania, they get very upset.
Yeah, take the gun away from them.
The accent is so friggin' close.
Mm-hmm. It is,
and it's really difficult to discern it, especially bang bang, guns going off and people screaming, and you're trying to hear what they're saying. And then you got the soft talkers. I feel like Jerry Seinfeld in the episode where he's like,
"She was a soft talker."
Yeah. You have to speak up. Are you fucking insane?
Be louder than the gun. Crying out loud.
And then it's always when they yell, all of a sudden guns stop shooting, and they're the only ones yelling, and then everyone starts looking, and they're like.
Yeah,
like everything at the Rubberneckers.
Yeah. But one more thing about, like, if you say a joke or something and somebody says, "Oh, that's messed up," do you know what? Every joke is messed up.
Yes,
every single one
every single joke. That's kind of the point of comedy.
Yeah.
Like
comedy
when they
is
talk
always
about dark
making
comedy, I almost think you mean comedy. Like whenever you say it, I like a little, let's say, edgier comedy. But I don't think any comedy is really it is making light of usually bad or sad or rough situations because sometimes that's necessary.
Is.
Almost always, yeah.
Well, could you give me an example where a joke isn't making fun of something?
No, I don't think I could. I mean,
comedy is tragedy plus time.
About it, honestly, you just it's funny. I expect it.
What would happen?
It's funnier when you understand why it's funny.
Right.
And I learned this having a kid, and this is one thing I don't think you would unless you spent a lot of time around children. Like when you're laughing and they're like staring at the screen, I'm like, you don't get it, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, no. And I'm like, you don't get the context.
Right.
But once they get the context, and you're right, it's pretty terrible it happened. And you have to explain it to them, and then you realize it's much worse when I had to explain it to you.
And they're not going to laugh because...
No, it's too late because it's past the context. And plus, I'm not that guy. I'm not that funny guy. So it doesn't come out the same way.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, the fact that you lived through something every day was a part of your life, and then someone makes a joke about it.
Yeah.
You can't wrap that up into a 1-minute summary for a kid.
No, you can't.
Or even an adult, for that matter.
But hey, they went quite a few years before anybody touched 9/11.
Yeah,
I have to be honest. They went at least 3 to 5 years before they touched it.
Yeah, they waited.
No one would go near it, and you're like, that's a first. Like, we're poking the Holocaust, the Berlin Wall, like, for fucking Jesus. Like, nothing is safe. But somehow, 9/11 got a 5-year leeway. They got a grace period, which, honestly, with comics, to do it universally, and I'm sure some tried, and that definitely didn't go. When you bomb on something like that, I can't even say that.
Oh, boy.
Right? Like, no pun intended. You can't even go that route, because it's the worst of the worst.
Yeah, like, after a couple of years, I mean, there'd be this one brave comic, he'd dip his toe in the water, and all the other comics would look.
Right. And no, they weren't even looking at him. They were looking at the crowd. Because they're like, how are they reacting? Are they ready yet?
Hey, guys, no, not yet.
One guy laughed? Not enough. 3 guys laughed? 3 people laughed? Not enough.
Yeah, we need the popular vote, guys.
That lady's crying. Definitely turn back. Change the topic. Talk about dead puppies. Anything else, right? It is a shame, yeah. I think, again, if you can't laugh at yourself and you can't laugh at the terrible, like if you can't laugh at the terrible, you're left with just terrible. Are we supposed to just stay somber, grieveful, and remorseful? That's it? That's all we're left with? We're not allowed to be joy. Like, when does joy come back, and how? Like, how do we? And if this is how some people heal, right? Who's for anyone else to say otherwise?
Do you know what I think?
This could be a comedy is said today part 2.
Do you know what I really think happened?
With SpaceX landing on Rockport, which
when we grew up, we weren't really connected to the world. We were in the fact that we could watch TV. We saw what happened.
Propaganda TV and papers. But
I mean, we watched Full House, and somebody in California watched Full House, but that was it. We didn't talk to them. Now we had Brentwood, we had our culture, we all knew each other.
Yeah.
if we disagreed or agreed, it really didn't matter. But now all of a sudden, people from all over the world are arguing with complete strangers. We are at the tip of each other's fingertips worldwide.
I think the important part of what you just said is the anonymity. Anonymity?
Yeah.
It's not the fact that you argue with each other. It's the fact that you do it without face.
Yeah, you're real brave.
Now, I don't hide who I am. I don't have an anonymity. Like I'm my gamer tag is who I am for the last 20 years. My email, my Facebook, it is who I am.
Right.
I choose not to say things because there are too many people hiding behind faceless accounts.
Right.
And their voice seems to carry over real people, and I think that's the key. It's not the point that we argue. I agree that we can disagree, but when you don't know this person, when they don't even know that, who knows if that's even who they really are, right? And nowadays, again, I don't even like using the word AI anymore. But let's say bots, it could be a fucking bot.
Yeah,
it's just programmed to argue with you. This is the ArgueBot 9000.
Oh, my
right?
God.
It's
No,
like
I'm
Mystery
not.
Science Theater 3000. Like, this robot was programmed for comedy, but this one's just a fucking aggravating robot that just argues with random people.
No, I don't.
Right? Yeah.
No. That's why I programmed you. No, you didn't.
And
You see?
and the sad part, it wouldn't even sound like that. It would just sound like a person. Yeah. Right? And you wouldn't know it. It would sound like a person.
But it's so funny because I see people say stuff to people online. I'm like, holy, would you say that if that person was standing in front of you?
No, and that's the thing. That goes along with the anonymity, but in a way that they know that I'm never going to, I don't know, South Wales or New Zealand to go and talk to this person.
So you know what? This is what we should do. If every little kid that says, Daddy, I want a cell phone, we're like, okay, well, you know the rules. Do you still want the cell phone? Well, not yet. Okay, and then what I do, Daddy, I want the cell phone. You know the rules, right? Yes, Daddy, before you give this to me, you have to punch me in the face. You have to punch a kid in the face before you give him the cell phone. This way he knows what it feels like.
Oh, good Lord.
And he might shut the fuck up before he starts running in his mouth at somebody.
We prove that corporal punishment doesn't work.
No. It's not corporal punishment. Because if you run your mouth at somebody, somebody's going to run up to you and punch you in the face. Now you know what being punched in the face feels like.
Oh.
You might not want to make somebody come punch you in the face. Because you might,
But then you just...
Because a lot of these people online talking all the shit, they've never been punched in the face before.
Or even,
and if they had, they might.
It does make me wonder, like those people that are like that.
Maybe I could have explained that
when
better.
they go a little bit, but that's okay.
Why does this guy want to punch this kid? This guy an asshole. Jesus, what happens if the kid wants a lollipop? You gonna kick him in the balls?
You make sure he takes it out before you punch him in the face.
Daddy, I want a lollipop. Well, I gotta kick you in the balls, son. I want it really bad. The balls.
This is how Jackass stars are made.
Hey, kid, what do you want for Christmas? Nothing.
But it really makes me wonder what those people, like, if you're like that at home, right? Let's say you work someplace, and you go home and that's who you are, right? But what are you like at work? I guarantee you're not like that.
No, you're a little pussy at work.
We would think that. We go from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
I mean,
some people.
I guarantee you're not like that. That's for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah, some people are, but most people.
Most jobs nowadays, I have to say, like, kid doesn't understand it either. Like, she goes to work now, and you have so many rights. Like, you're literally protected. Like, we were not protected in the late 90s. The restaurant industry was a dirty, disgusting, sex-driven, like corrupt, criminalistic. I could go on with all these words, and it wasn't literally until like the early to mid 2000s that they started to clean the industry.
Yeah,
and I had relatively left. I was still in it up till about, let's say, 07. But I was in a fine dining place, and that's like when you finally make it, right? Instead of being in some shit fucking corporate junk Fridays type Bennigan's establishment, right? But you remember how bad it was. Think back now of all the shit that we did. Like, it would have never been tolerated. Both sides. Like, the employer wouldn't have tolerated us as employees, and we would have never tolerated the employers. Because it's just not right. But we were just like, this is how it is.
I used to call it a grab-ass industry.
Yes. Between all the sexual harassment and all the bullshit. And it's like you just dealt with it, be like, this is how it is.
Yeah.
And again, you kind of think like it's the same as a kid who gets beat and then beats their kids. It's like, but that's how it always was. It's how I was taught.
how it was.
At what point do we change? And that's where I always said, this is where I go with the whole.
The change is the many generations of kids get beat, they become more talented fighters. So they're really beating the shit out of their kids. So they're beating them good.
That was my dad's reason for martial arts. You know, my grandfather used to beat his ass.
Oh,
you know,
Pop did? Yeah.
Oh my God! So my father literally, when he was 17, took martial arts, and he told me, he doesn't talk about it much, but he told me once, he's like, and you know, Pop came at me, and I swept him and sideswiped him, and just I didn't hit him. I used his energy against him, and I dodged it, and he kept doing that, and Pop got so frustrated, he just stopped hitting him. I'm like, that is the most fucking passive aggressive thing I've ever heard.
That's awesome.
I know, and I believe it for my father because he doesn't open his mouth to tell you a lie. He barely talks as it is, so anything he says is pretty much verbatim. And I'm just like, wow, that's the most consequential story you've ever told me. And it is literally the reason why people should take martial arts, to learn how to defend themselves. Yeah. So not even just defend yourselves out. He defended himself from his own father without defending himself. He didn't touch him. He just swept him. He fell on the floor. And you remember my pop? My pop was a fucking big guy. He was like 6'2", fucking huge Italian guy.
Yeah.
You see him coming, you think the whole mob is at you, with a baseball bat.
Okay, Joe, you look good, man. What happened? Your dad stopped beating you? Yeah. But look, how come? He got frustrated. It's not that he doesn't want to fucking beat me. He just can't anymore.
I think that's what makes it so funny, because I don't want to besmirch the name of my dead grandfather, but
come on,
but you got to be like, you learned your lesson. That I just can't do it anymore. What do you mean, you physically unfit? No, he's still good.
He's like, hey, what's the matter? You look upset, man. Yeah. I can't beat my kid
that's
anymore.
A good example of how we change. We forced to change. And then I didn't get beat. Now, I didn't get beat at home, but I got my ass whooped in karate class. Mm-hmm. But that's what Bogu and control, and you have to learn to take a hit. It's like you said with the kid with the phone. This is what a punch in the face feels like. If you've never been punched in the face, the first time you're punched in the face,
it's a shocking
It could be the last time you ever see anything, because if you don't react back, it's a shock. It's a culture shock. So the idea is you got to learn how to take a beating, to give a beating, to defend yourself from a beating, which all of it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but it does.
Yeah,
and this is how we change the future, but that was a different story.
Dude, no, I'm not done with this yet. Okay, so what happens now, folks, this is what happens now. So his grandfather sneaks out of the house, goes across town to a different karate school and signs up. And they're like,
he learns a different martial art.
That this is how Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do started.
Or the UFC was started.
So like, all right, so here's your papers. Okay, so what makes you want to join karate? You want self-discipline? You want to get in shape? No, I want to beat my smart aleck fucking kid. What? Yeah, he's down the street taking lessons. I go to slug him. He throws me into the television set. He's like, sir, I don't know if you know what karate is all about, but I'm going to teach you, and you're going to fuck that kid up.
Sweep the leg. That's all I got.
You have a problem with that?
Do you know what crane stance is?
And then your dad and your grandfather really have to meet up in the karate tournament.
I love your mindset. Like I never went that way. Like you took a dirt road to a part of that I never thought of, which I now find really funny.
That is funny.
No, it's hysterical.
Dude, I bet your dad would think it was funny too.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he might not.
I told you.
He would either think it's really hilarious, or he'd be like, I fucking never should have said that to him.
Right, and you'll know immediately.
You'll know immediately.
And that's the thing. You don't want to take that chance, do you? Because I don't.
And it's like,
I don't really care anymore. It's like, not that scary.
Yeah, now he's mad, and he's like, I didn't even get to the good part. I bet I would have won him over when... But I'm not saying anything else.
That's it. You're done. You lost in the beginning.
I'm going to lick my wounds to get
losses. Exactly. Yeah.
I was like,
and it's like, it's not even like when, people are, I was afraid of my dad growing up. It's like, I really wasn't. It was more of a respect.
Sure.
And I think that was with my friends and family too. It's like, people weren't afraid of my dad. They just respected him and they knew what he was capable of. Mm-hmm. And anybody who is capable of something powerful, dangerous, whether it's a person with money, a person in power, or a person with power, if you have respect, it's way better than fear. Like,
sure.
Famous is better than infamous, right?
Yeah.
But even now, it's like, just he would laugh now. He's gotten much softer.
Yeah.
Because at this point, he's like, I don't give a fuck. He's like, I'm retired. I got plants and fish, and I don't care. Yeah, so he's good.
I'm like, you know what? All right, if it makes you feel better, I'll walk past your truck and you could blast the air horn at me.
No, he doesn't even have one. Just walk past his truck, lick your finger, and go on his truck.
Oh.
He'll fucking lose his mind. He'll come out with like a clean diaper and like wipe it down. He's like, get your fucking fingers off my truck, you crazy motherfucker.
That's when you gotta hide a shitty diaper.
Oh my God. I always thought about like, let's have him on the podcast, and then it would just be like crickets, and you'd be like, so, Joe, yada yada yada, and he's like, yes. And you're like,
well, you heard it here first,
okay,
folks. Yes.
So, anyway, moving on. That's all you're gonna get out of it.
Yeah, you don't think he? I mean, if he had something that he really liked and really wanted to talk about, you don't think he'd open up?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't. There'd be a lot of dead air. We'd be filling some empty air. We would have to be the one cutting in. He's not going to fill it with words. Oh, wow. He gets to the point, he says what he's going to say, and he stops.
Yeah.
And then he listens. And then you're like, oh, you're done now. Okay, it? So.
Okay, no? Explanation point? No?
Yeah.
Question
and since
mark?
we don't have cameras, like you can't see facial expressions.
Uh-huh.
You can't look for eyebrow raises, micro expressions. There's none of that.
Right. Yeah.
Like, we're pretty vocal, so you can hear the inflections in our voice, the laughter, the snide sarcasm, But, it's okay. It's fine. This is where the children differ from the parents. You're supposed to.
Yeah, like my dad, his dad, wasn't abusive. He was just a bad dad. He was just a shitty father.
Yeah.
And my dad,
well, isn't that just a different version of abusive?
Yeah.
In a way, like that's how.
Yeah,
and again, the generation moves, but whatever. He
just wasn't a good dad. He left his his mom, and he just worked too much. He wasn't like a father, like a dad. Let's go do this. So in a lot of people will fall into that pattern with their kids. My dad went the complete opposite way. Like your dad went the opposite way. Yeah. Thank God for us.
Yeah, like I tried to be. Up. I guess, and the kid will tell me it was after she was like 8. Mm-hmm. I was a better father. And I'm like, thanks. I think.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Like, I wasn't as nurturing. Like, she had the mother and the grandmother, and she was a little kid, and I was working a lot, and I was home, but it was different, But I guess, at least I got 8 till now. And now she's like, oh, don't worry. Now you're a great father.
Oh,
well, thanks. I guess, again.
I appreciate your approval.
The best thing you could do as a parent, I'm hoping for 50%. I mean,
okay, so from 1 to 4, you don't know shit. You weren't even existing. Okay, so from 4 to 8. Okay, from 4 to 5. Would you say that you were very unsatisfied? Yeah, somewhat satisfied? Very satisfied? Or extremely satisfied?
Goddamn survey. Holy, okay. I mean, look, and it's like, especially when you only have one kid. Parents that have multiple kids, you learn lessons through each kid. And each kid, depending on how long they were between each other, society changes, the generation changes, times change. You had some practice. You have an idea. Like, you don't know what you're doing. You're just like, I'm winging it. Every parent is fucking winging it.
Right.
Even when they get advice from their parents and their aunts and their friends and the internet and the doctors, they're winging it. There's no right or wrong. There's things we tell them that's really wrong.
Right.
And I don't think there's a really, really right.
No.
there's an extreme wrong, but not an extreme right.
Yeah.
But then again, you're just winging it. So you do the best you can. I mean, you hope they don't come out all fucked up.
And especially every generation has different technology and different culture.
Right. It makes a difference now.
There are some standards. Like 100 years ago and today, moms could look at their little kids and say, you see that man in the van with the balloons and candy? Don't get in that fucking van. And they'd be right both times. But there's a lot of other gray areas now.
I'm pretty sure that one still holds for the most part.
That one still holds, yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot, like the street light thing or kids being out playing, or the fact that we went out. Like, I always think Stranger Things. Did you see that show?
Yeah.
Okay, you watched it. That was our childhood.
Yeah, I guess. Well,
I mean, we didn't live in Indiana.
Yeah.
But we went out on our bikes. Mm-hmm. There was no phones.
Yeah.
We had maybe a quarter in our pocket if we were lucky. Mm-hmm. And our parents were like, be home before it gets dark.
Yeah.
That's it. You just went out and came home. Now it's like you know exactly where your kid is, where they are. You can track them using Instagram or every app that they're using if you really had to. You have direct instant communication, and we're yet more protective of them now.
Yeah, I know.
Which
right? It's crazy.
I know, and my wife is that case.
Because
and
you
I
can
don't blame
be.
her, I guess. But I'm
Back
like,
then you couldn't. You just kind of, your kid left out. See it.
wouldn't that have been worse to make the extreme more, like believable? Like I don't know. Yeah. I'm independent, so I see it as go out. You need to go out, fall off your bike, skin your knee, get up, put a Band-Aid on, and move on. Yeah. Now, that's not the actual skinning of the knee. It's the whole aspect of life. Go metaphor. Out, make mistakes, learn things. I don't want you to get into the white van with the free candy. That should be something we taught you. But,
unless it's good candy. if it's like the full-size Snickers.
It's that one day of the year. I mean, still don't get in the van, but you can go trunk-or-treating and take candy from the white van on Halloween.
Yeah, ignore everything I told you today. And go put your costume on.
Isn't that funny? I'm like, any other day of the year, this would be considered really creepy and probably against the law.
Right, exactly. I have a whole skit about Halloween, but I will definitely spare this.
But it's fine. I get it, yeah. I mean, I don't even know where this started, but it doesn't matter.
No, but
we just go.
Yeah, it's like, it's like back in the day, like when you let your kid out, no phone, like you said, no nothing. Yeah. It's just like, it's like having a bird, throwing it out the window, and like, Jesus, please come home.
Yeah. Or those, carrier pigeons. Like, they don't all come back.
Right.
That's the funny thing. Like, some carrier pigeons don't come back. That's why they have so many, so that you can, you hope that most of them come back. Some just don't come back. They're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I found other birds.
Yeah, either they got eaten or this, or
either that or predation. Right.
Either that or they're like, fuck you.
Right. Or they were like, I found another flock, and they were like, that's okay. That's why we have 26 more.
Right. Yeah. So the kids can't. Well, and then sometimes, like when you're a kid, sometimes they'd be like, hey, did you hear Patty's kid didn't come home last night?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. And they whisper about it. It's
Should we call her? No. We can call you, asshole.
Yeah. This lady needs comfort. Or maybe you should probably go out and try to help him find the kid.
Yeah,
right. Like you find that, I think, more in small towns.
Yeah,
where
definitely.
They kind of like, they sequester the masses with the pitchforks and the flashlights and, well, maybe not the pitchforks, but the torches and the flashlights, and they go out
I'd
and
bring
try
the
to find
pitchfork. The pitchfork needs to be represented. I'll bring it.
I think it gives the wrong impression to the kid, but it's okay.
Yeah, and and remember when you were a kid, it would say like nighttime at television, like 10 or 11 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Yeah.
And there were sometimes I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's at Taco Bell. I think she's got the car.
What, they still had those commercials when you were a dad?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that wasn't the thing. No.
Yeah, no, yeah. When I was a kid.
Most television and commercials stopped when we weren't kids anymore.
Yeah.
I have to say, it would have been around, I would probably guess around 1992, 1995.
Yeah, I was going to say late.
Right when we graduated high school, right before the 2000s is when things got different. But then those same commercials are now just YouTube ads or skits or, they're clips somewhere, but they're not televised nationally the same way. I think the scummy political ads are the equivalent.
Oh, worse.
They really are. They're the worst because they couldn't have found any worse actors to have these things done with.
Yeah,
they're like, let's just, you're an aide, right? You're an intern. Here, you're in this commercial. Yeah. And they're like, okay. And, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
But I think that's the equivalent.
Especially
nowadays.
the pot commercials. Were
I know. The new age propaganda. Yeah. It's like, fine. Look, man, again, if you're sheep, nowadays I call them the sheep of the sheep. Mm-hmm. You're not only just sheep. You are sheep. You're following the sheep, which is worse than being sheep. Like, I never consider myself the wolf nor the sheep. I'm more like the dog or the guy on the horse, at that point. But there's still more sheep than us.
Yeah.
The same thing with a cattle drive. Any point in time, those cattle turn around and realize they have the power, right? They're all fucked. The dog's fucked. The horses are fucked. The cowboys are fucked. Everyone's fucked because all the cows are like, we win. Now,
then the Indian people like, you see what happens? You don't respect them.
Wait, which Indian? Are you talking Native American or Indian?
Do you hear Native American talk like
That's the wrong Indian.
No, the Indian. No, Indians respect cows in India. They don't eat them.
I totally missed it. I'm thinking cowboys and Indians, which is not right.
Oh, yeah,
Americans.
yeah.
But yes, I'm sorry, I went the wrong way.
That's right.
Now I get it. That's funny. That's funny. I see what you did there.
I didn't want to steer you in the wrong direction.
And he's still going. The puns never end.
You mess with the bull.
Yeah. I think that's the day when, like, because the kid asked me this something similar, and she's like, "What do you think it would take?" You know, because I said, "Your blue collar runs the world. They do.
Yep.
No one. That's why we're the sheep. Or like, let's change it to cattle, because the whole stampeding thing of sheep really doesn't seem that dangerous. It just seems like a funny cartoon, right? But a whole bunch of fucking cows are in that, you're dead.
Yeah.
Okay?
Even enough babies.
Right. It doesn't matter. Even a baby cow is 300
No, I mean
400
human
pounds.
babies.
Oh, human babies.
Yeah, like a million of them crawling at you all at once.
Yeah. I mean, you got some time. That's like The Walking Dead. You know,
Yeah,
they're
but still.
dangerous, but only if they get to you.
Do you know what I would call it? Do you know what I would call that army of a million babies? I'd call it the infantry.
Was the whole plan for that?
No.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, enough of anything coming at you
Sure.
eventually will overcome
But for
you.
this analogy, the idea of the blue collar, I think she's like, what it would take. And I'm like, I don't know. Eventually, you take enough away from the people who are actually doing it, and there's going to be some sort of revolt.
I just want to be alive to see it. Because it's going to happen. I mean, people
It might,
don't say
but
that.
it's basically
It's
the
gonna
same
eventually
as a
happen.
civil war, and we don't want to see that in a way, because it is kind of like
But it's
going
going to happen. People are going to get
Or
killed.
by that time, we have enough robots to be like, we don't need the blue collars. We filled these spots with robots or automation. Or
Then what
we're
are the blue
working with-
collar? And so we don't go to work. We're going to have
we do something else. We'll always
Yeah.
do something else. And
You give a human being too much time with their own minds and hands without being creative and going to work, they're going to start doing
I
some
call that
nefarious
a
shit.
day off in video games. 'Cause I'm
Forever?
Really, yeah. I'm really simple. at
Yeah,
this
yeah,
point.
me too. But
I mean, I'll take a walk, admire nature, take some pictures. I could do that forever. Go to the beach. I'll do the things I want to do instead of go to work. But again, we all want to work.
you're not going to be able to go to the beach
What? No. Why is that?
because
The hurricanes?
no, because everybody's going to be at the beach because nobody's going to be at fucking work. People are going to be taking pictures of you, taking pictures of the bird, and the bird's going to be like, "What the fuck is going
The
on?"
person taking a picture of me, taking a picture of a bird, is taking,
And the bird's going to be like,
and the bird has a
"Crikey."
GoPro attached to it.
The bird's going to be like, "Don't you got a blowy fucking job?" My dog's looking at me like, "What the fuck is wrong
Again,
with you?"
even in that sense, so far in the future. I mean, going back to what we were talking about with Musk and the robots, the spaceships, his fucking Optimus robot is amazing. That thing really is amazing.
It's in his prime too.
That was another pun. Bob's on a fucking roll today, man. But when you factor in the fact that, I mean, highly plausible that they do exactly what he says he's going to do. Like, they're going to be worldwide. The Teslas are now worldwide.
Yeah.
I see now, I think my number is usually 3 out of 10 cars are a Tesla. That's a big number, where if I go back 5 years, it was 1 out of 10. Huge number. Electric vehicles
Where
just
is
in
this,
general.
that 3 out of
Here
10?
I see it. Specifically here. I couldn't gauge Pennsylvania because there was fucking Pennsylvania. I'd be lucky if I saw like 1 horse and carriage, 2 fucking cars. But the idea that, you know, there's progression, and then the same thing with the rockets. Like, he progressed the space industry faster than what NASA did, or all of the space industry did, in 50 years. He did it in just about 10 years. So the idea that the robots aren't too far behind, sure. I mean, I think of my dad. You see his yard, he's got like fucking 1 million plants. He's always out there watering plants. Like, if you could have a robot to water the plants, just that alone, like, that's a big job. All it has to do is fill up a bucket with water and water plants.
But your dad wouldn't want a robot to do that.
No, not him, but he would still want the plants. Or what if you couldn't? What if you're getting on in age, right? You still want, but you can't. Now you have an ability. So again, I'm giving a very specific example, but the idea, if it does half of everything he says it's going to do, I mean, even watching it fold clothes, I was impressed, because I saw just about 4 years ago, I'm watching this thing they created this robot to fold clothes. It was this giant. It looked like a 2-tier desk. It was a huge box, looked like a giant, I don't know, printer, and you put the clothes in one side and they come out folded on the other, and it was like a rolling printer press thing. And it was a whole thing, and he's like, no, you just give this robot clothes and it folds them. It took the shirt and it folded the shirt and put the shirt down. And you're like, yeah, like that. Why did I have to buy the box when you could have had the robot? Like, a humanoid. Like, why humanoid? Because we live in a human world. You can't have... It's not going to be typing on a computer. It has a computer in its head. It could have just sent it digitally. But when it comes to physical things, go to the kitchen, get me an apple. It's going to look around. It's going to find the apple and gives you an apple.
Yeah.
That's it.
In a million years, after we're all gone...
A million years?
Yeah,
okay.
The computers, the robots are going to be like, okay, Daddy, how did we get here? We evolved from humans.
Yeah. Or I think
so. Wait. Like we came from humans came from apes. No, we didn't need them anymore.
Yeah,
so
we just got rid of them.
We got rid of them.
Which sure. I mean,
how did you do that? We stopped folding their laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was it for them.
But we always go to that existential crisis.
Yeah, of course.
Everything, no matter what it is, nuclear, global warming, robots. Just pick something.
It's kind of like you ever hear
dinosaurs.
of God? Are you familiar with Godwin's law?
Wait, say it again?
Godwin's law.
Godwin's law. I have. Why have I heard of that?
Because I'm sure, of course, you've heard it. It's like if two people are having an argument with each other, it's only a matter of time until Hitler comes up.
Oh, yes. The whole thing. And, I tried to fight that. Lex was talking about it one day, and I didn't know what he was talking about. But Lex brings up Hitler a lot because I think it's the repression of him being from Russia, and he's fascinated by what people are capable of and how he's all about love. Yeah. But I don't... We've definitely gone many, but there have been times we did bring him up.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like if people are arguing with each other about politics.
Oh, yeah.
Or stuff like that. When people are disagreeing. But did they figure out
why? Is it because it's an extreme? It's the extreme of all extremes?
Yes, yeah.
Like, that's it? So
yeah.
The worst of all worsts?
Yeah. That's like me throwing down the gauntlet. Oh, yeah?
Well,
you're Hitler. Oh, fuck, here we go.
You win.
Here, I'm the Führer.
Can't even see Stalin because he wasn't as bad.
Look at my mustache. Actually, Stalin was worse. Killed more people, but Hitler is sellable. He's got it. He's got it. Isn't that fucked up? Like, Chairman Mao killed way more people than Hitler.
I mean, we go back in history, Genghis Khan. I mean, we look at all those.
Well, I mean, but Chairman Mao wasn't that far behind Hitler. I mean, they were all pretty much around the same. But Hitler just has a ring to it. He's easy to sell.
I guess.
He was one of the main stars of World War II. He gave the speeches with the
He just proved that Godwin's law thing.
Yeah, all right.
And we weren't even arguing.
Yeah, right.
You're ruining it.
Even if you bring him up in a nice way.
That's possible.
Yeah, it is. You'd be sitting on a park bench, eating ice cream with a total stranger, like, wow, look at that man's mustache. It looks like Hitler's.
Oh, there's
really
a show
nice.
on Netflix called Preacher. Mm-hmm. It's really good. And it was based off a DC comic. It's like one of those. This is what I love about shows nowadays. They come up with these comics that are like, they're a third removed. Like, this was a series that no one ever heard of, but like 5 people loved it, right? And it's a good series. The guy's a preacher, and it's a lot about heaven and hell, God and the devil, and it's fucked up. Like, fucked up beyond all repair, like Fubard. And there's a point with Hitler in hell, and it's the guy who plays Hitler is a really famous actor, and he's really good. And it's funny. But it's fucked up. And you can't help but laugh a lot of it. But it just makes me laugh because there is a way to lighten it. It doesn't matter how light it is. It's still bad.
Do you think in hell, like Hitler gets to tell the devil what to do sometimes?
You'd think. Yeah. I just think he's praised. I think he has a really nice room.
Yeah.
Right?
I think he'd try taking over the world.
I mean, I don't believe in hell, but if there was the whole point, wouldn't he have gotten the devil a whole lot of souls, and that somehow gives him power? I don't know how this works.
Maybe they work in tandem, but Hitler definitely keeps him in check. He keeps him in check, though. Like the devil,
Hitler keeps the devil in check.
Yeah, I think so, because the devil knows what the fuck he can do. So like the devil will get mad at Hitler, and be like, the devil will be like, "Who the hell do you think you are?" Oh yeah, all right, never mind. You're Hitler. Fuck. Why can't I get pressed like this guy? I'm the devil, for crying out loud.
The horns weren't enough? Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, moving on up.
Yeah, you can't spend too much time on that.
No.
For no reason.
Yeah, for no reason.
Yeah. But that's good.
Hitler was bad. Okay.
This was the longest tangent. I think
it's good.
We would have a lot of hash marks on that piece of paper if we tried to track the tangents that we went from, because I don't even know where this started. Did it start with SpaceX and chopsticks?
Yeah.
Was that this episode?
Mm-hmm.
Someone will have to tell us because I don't even know.
It started with chopsticks, definitely. Hold on. so we could hashtag. Hold on.
Starting with chopsticks.
Yeah, this piece of shit.
Pretty amazing. Start with chopsticks, end with chopsticks. I think it's impressive that you did that on your phone. It sounded pretty good. You didn't even hit off key or nothing. Yeah.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
God, I love that song.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I mean, talk about now offensive nowadays. We're going to have a black guy sing a song called Kung Fu Fighting. Really? How is it going to start?
Yeah. But the 80s, what we thought was offensive was
it wasn't.
Fun.
I mean, yeah. I mean, life
how.
got so good. We have so many conveniences. We have toilet bowls that shoot water up and wipe our ass. We need something to complain about, so we're making shit up now.
I guess. I have to be honest, one of my favorite movies and scenes was The Last Dragon. Big bad Leroy Brown. Leroy, who's the master? And that scene where they're fighting on, and this was when movie theaters had stages because they were also used as theaters, right? Like now we're like, what the fuck we need a stage for? These people it's a screen. But they were on stage fighting with a kung fu flick going on behind in a giant screen, and I'll never forget the scene, and it was just so good, and I think of that song. Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Dude, we should do stuff like that nowadays. It'll get people to go to the movie.
What do you mean?
People would go. I mean, why people don't go to the movie theaters because they have
Not as
Netflix?
much, no.
But
Well,
if you
I
had
asked that
people
question a bunch
acting
of
on
times.
stage, people would go see that. You
not
think?
really.
But you have kids nowadays collecting records,
Yeah,
and they're spending
but
$45 on them.
I know, but that's like a niche. It's not a thing. Like there's not a lot of those, and even if there is, it's not on.
I think people would be kung fu fighting just to get into the
maybe
theater
that,
to see that.
Like if you could get a good but there's not even good kung fu movies anymore. It's not the same, Back then, I mean, the '80s was like the Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee was like the whole, the kung fu era where especially since it was just coming over from the West and it was created. I just thought that was a great movie. He dressed in the classic like robe with the hat and he was soft spoken and he kicked ass and he had the glow. He's got the glow. And it was bad '80s like CGI.
Oh, that was so bad. Yeah, well, we went from Enter the Dragon to Barney the Dragon in 2 generations. Sad.
Yeah. Well, this went on for a long time. Huh? I think we're gonna call it here.
Yeah.
Because I think you guys are done too out there, aren't you? Yeah. You're like, please just end it.
Hopefully, you're on a long car ride somewhere. That's a good.
Or you paused us and came back to us later. Hi, welcome back. But thanks for listening to A Lifetime of Conversations. And again, don't forget you can comment on Spotify. We are all of our episodes are also published on YouTube under A Lifetime of Conversations, so you can comment there as well. I have not been keeping up with adding cool videos to these podcasts because holy fucking shit, it takes a long time, and I really don't have the time anymore. But I hope you enjoyed listening to us because we don't really care.
Yep.
We love it that you do. We don't care that you don't. But, you guys have a good day and watch for those chopsticks.
That's right. And fuck off, you wankers. Oh, my God.